What is up, YouTube? Welcome to another edition of Nerdy Sense Reviews. It's your boy Corey, and today I am reviewing Batman v Superman: Dawn of Justice. Okay, into this review straight off the bat. I'm just gonna hop into it. Give you my likes, my dislikes, what I think about it. This is a non-spoiler review, so do not worry. I will not be spoiling any of this movie for you guys. I know some of you like to go see it maybe once the theater clears out, or trying to get the schedule right with the girlfriend or the friends, and or work just got you down. So I'm not going to spoil all of this. You'll be able to go see it. You can watch this review in full confidence that nothing will be told. So let's get into it. All right, so I'm first just going to start with the cast, what I thought about each of those, and then we'll move forward with my likes, my general likes, my dislikes, and then overall. Okay, so before we do that, just want to let you guys know that this movie is really weird already within the fact that it is such a discrepancy in what the audience thinks and the critics think. Referencing Rotten Tomatoes, at the time that I looked, which was a day before the movie actually dropped, Rotten Tomatoes had it at like a 33% for critics, and it was an 81% rating for audience. And that is a huge discrepancy of more than 50%. And you usually do not get something that is so differential. And I think that it just speaks to people, to the crowd, what they wanted, and whether or not they're taking it easy on Zack Snyder, and whether the critics are looking at this not as a Batman v Superman movie, but just as a movie in general. So maybe they have a little bit more of an unbiased opinion as to where fans and audience goers are like, holy shit, this is cool, this is what I've been waiting for years and years, and it's finally here. One thing that everyone seems to be agreeing on, though, is that Ben Affleck played his ass off as Bruce Wayne / Batman, that he rocked it. And I am in total agreement with that. I think that Zack Snyder did a great job fleshing Batman and Bruce Wayne out as a character, and of course he'll do that more in the solo film, but I thought that there was a great foundation, especially carrying over into the Justice League, and he's going to have a cameo, I don't know to what degree, in the Suicide Squad, but he will be making an appearance. And I thought that it was great for us just to get a feel, because Batman is always that voice that in the Justice League that is more stoic, that is more grounded in realism. So having that character fleshed out was absolutely amazing. He played the Dark Knight, the more disgruntled, hardened Bruce Wayne / Batman. He was great. I have no problems with the way that he portrayed this character at all. And I want to be able to say that I told you all so, but of course I didn't, because as it came closer to the movie, I think people started to realize that maybe Ben Affleck was going to do a great job. And once it seemed that Zack Snyder was given the proverbial middle finger to whether people actually like the casting or not, I think people just kind of accepted it and came around to it. So I can't actually take all the glory and all the bragging rights for saying that Ben Affleck would kill it. I was on a wait and see, but the more that I saw, the more I thought about it, the more I thought that it was going to be a good casting and that he was going to be a good job. And I actually thought that he did do a very well job. Henry Cavill, he certainly built upon his role as Clark Kent / Superman. He evolved. It was mainly just him bringing more of a personality to Superman, especially from the political standpoint of this movie. Now, not so much struggling with the idea of whether he would be able to do well for humanity, but whether he would be able to work for humanity and also accept the fact that some people are not going to accept you. People don't accept what they don't understand. And Superman is definitely not someone who can just come on the scene and we can understand him fully. He is an alien. He is from another planet. If that's not outside of the realm of understanding for us, first off, I don't know what is. Because you have religious people who refuse to even acknowledge the fact that we are possibly not the only beings in this universe, and that this universe does not revolve around us. So if we get something that totally blows creationalism out of the water and could give credence to more of evolution and that scientific theory of the Big Bang, of course, there are going to be people who don't want it, who don't want to acknowledge it. So Superman is going to be a point of contention. And I thought that Henry Cavill did a very good job evolving and building on that character. He is now taking over the mantle of Superman, and he is doing a very good job. Jesse Eisenberg is Lex Luthor. I'm kind of on the fence about this. The way that he portrayed Lex Luthor, I wasn't actually too fond of it. But if I have to just go off of acting chops, Jesse Eisenberg did a very good job. He is a very good actor. He has a lot of range. I'm not sure if I actually agree with the way that Lex Luthor was portrayed in this film, just because it's hard for me after being such a fan of this Superman comics, the animated series and the New 52 comics. It is in direct difficult standing, and it is a polar opposite the way that they portrayed Lex Luthor here and the way that it is in the comics. I thought it might have been just a cover. I was highly disappointed it was not. So just go in expecting that Lex Luthor that you see in the trailers. But he's very brilliant. He's very maniacal. And I think Jesse Eisenberg did a great job of portraying a character from that standpoint. And I think we got a very good read on Lex Luthor and what he wants to do. So I give a thumbs up to Jesse Eisenberg in that standing, not just sure that I agree with the way that Lex Luthor, with the type of Lex Luthor they were doing in this film. Amy Adams as Lois Lane. Amy Adams is a damn good actor. She does good in almost anything you cast her in. I think that the problem here was that Zack Snyder had a problem with making her relevant to the film. There were times when she was absolutely relevant and she absolutely was the driving force for the plot. And then there were times when you could have absolutely taken her out and the outcome would have been the same. And I think that Zack Snyder struggled with keeping her relevant throughout the whole film. And, you know, from storytelling standpoint, Zack Snyder does have that difficulty. But overall, Amy Adams, great job as Lois Lane. She just had a raw deal with the writing that was presented in this film for her. Now we get to, Jeremy Irons, great Lex Luthor. Harken back to, not Lex Luthor, excuse me, Alfred. Harken back to the 90s Alfred that we get from the comics. I know a couple of my coworkers were like, Alfred does not have a goatee. And I'm like, well, actually, if you look at it here and we look at this one, then he does. Great Alfred, Jeremy Irons, you did a great job. Lawrence Fishburne, more of a Perry White in this one. Such an excellent portrayal. I loved it. Diane Lane, Martha Kent, she did a great job in Man of Steel, did another great job in Batman v Superman. Gal Gadot as Diana Prince. She had probably somewhere between 8 to 15 lines, I guesstimate. But some of them, she delivered them perfectly. Others, she did not. And I think that's probably a form to the writing. But she did a pretty solid job. She definitely looks the part for Wonder Woman. I know a lot of people were wondering that. But she did have, between the roles, between the lines that she delivered and what she had to do in this film, I think that she did it pretty solid. She definitely stood on her own 2 feet, held her own. So I came into this a little bit worried about Wonder Woman and Gal Gadot as Wonder Woman. But after seeing this film, I'm a little less worried and a little bit more excited to go see Wonder Woman when it does release. Now to whether I actually like this film and what I thought about it overall. I did think that the film was very good. It was very beautifully shot, cinematic, for the aesthetics and the eye and cinematography was absolutely wonderful. You still get that bit of that dark and gritty kind of undertone. Zack Snyder knows how to make a visually appealing movie. And it still keeps in line with the Man of Steel, that dark, serious tone. They did have a bit of humor here and there. Some actually made me laugh, and some kind of I felt that it was forced. But overall, the look of the movie was beautiful. When you get into the story of it, I feel like I'm looking at two different movies. At the beginning, you kind of get like this psychological thriller. It makes you think. It makes you question things of morality. It actually has you questioning how you will react in this situation. It is so realistic at the beginning, and that's what I loved going in. Once I sat down, I was actually looking at the movie. I was like, huh, this is actually pretty realistic, and I'm really digging it. As the story progressed and the plot began to pick up, I felt like it was getting more and more of like kind of like this brilliant mess. A lot of people, between coming in and out of certain sequences of the film, the way they fit certain scenes in there, I could tell a lot of people in the theater were getting confused, the way that they transitioned in between things. And I felt that as Zack Snyder, he struggles with being able to tell a cohesive story and transition and keep the crowd engaged without being confused. The pacing and the way that he transitioned in and out of shots and scenes definitely still needed to do some work, and I felt that if anything, that drags the film down a little bit for me. Just looking around and noticing that people were getting confused, people didn't know where they were or what they were trying to do in certain scenes. But overall, I did very much enjoy this film. It's just those transitions that kind of took me out of it. Like I said before, very well flushed out characters. You could definitely tell what everyone's position was to a certain thing, why they had the ideals that they did, and why they did certain actions in the film, except Lois Lane, because like I said, Zack Snyder was kind of struggling with making her relevant near the end of the film. Overall, if I had to give this movie a score, I would say I'd give it a 7.5, borderline, almost an 8. I did enjoy the cinematics, the aesthetic view of the movie. It was appealing to the eye, very beautifully shot. Characters were well fleshed out. The storyline, I just think that he struggled telling a cohesive story. Lex Luthor had a convoluted plot, overly complicated to dealing with Superman and Batman, and you could have cut like 5 or 6 steps out of his plan, and he could have came to the same realization. So he kind of got caught in that whole Kevin Spacey problem that we had in Superman Returns. Also, in this film, I did enjoy the way that Zack Snyder introduced the members of the Justice League that are coming in. I thought that it was very well placed. It did not feel out of place for me. I thought that for what he had to work with in his plot and for what Bruce Wayne was doing and how he discovered this, I thought that it worked very well. And Zack Snyder kind of just realized, hey, I got a plot here where I can introduce characters and I'm going to use it. So great job on that. Zack Snyder got a lot of good feedback from audience members, from people who had seen the movies that I talked to, and they love that part of the film. So that was also great. I think the Justice League is in great hands. Zack Snyder needs to tighten that storytelling up, and that's one thing that I really want him to focus on for the Justice League, because if he can get that story, if he can just get his ability to tell a cohesive story throughout in line, then we will have a very good Justice League. Anyway, that is my non-spoiler review. Let me know what you thought in the comments below. I'd love to hear your opinions. You can hit the like button. Remember to subscribe to the channel. Podcast coming Sunday, so keep up with that. If I didn't answer anything, you caught anything, just drop it in the comments below. Love to know your guys' opinions, and I'll be catching you next time. NS Nation, stand up.
Greatest honest trailer competition of all time. Michael Keaton's Batman versus Christopher Reeve's Superman. 2 honest trailers, 1 epic showdown. Stay tuned until the end of the trailer to see how you can determine the winner. Now, get ready for Batman. Before Christopher Nolan saved Batman from nipples, raves, and ice puns, Tim Burton had to save him from this.
You know you're a Neosaurus as well, Robin. Peanut butter sandwiches it is.
Holy gritty reboot. Quick, to the reboot-mobile. Tim Burton's Batman. Gear up for a movie that took the bad part of Batman pretty literally, as one man wages a war against crime in an awesome-looking batsuit and a severely limited range of motion.
Exactly.